Hello everybody and welcome to another art session. My name is Debbie, and if you're new here, welcome. If you are one of my beloved regulars, welcome back. I've had this idea. I'm a mixed media artist, so that means I use anything I can get my hands on. I want all of the colours, thank you full set syndrome, and I want all of the materials. So every time somebody shows me something, I go and buy it and use it, and usually love it. There's one or two things I haven't loved, and I thought that what we need is some sort of platform to say what I've loved, what I haven't loved, and of course why. And with that in mind, I thought, well, the best way is to pick my top 5 favourites of each sort of media. And I'm going to start with Ecoline brush pens today. And so what I want to do is show you my 5 favourites and then do a little sketch with them to show you what I might do with them, just to give you a bit of a heads up. Now, for those of you paying attention, you might think, my goodness, this person can't even count. There are 6 pens there. That's because I have 5 favourites and an honourable mention that I just couldn't leave out. I'm so sorry. I promise you I can count. I know how many beans make 5 as a rule, but on this occasion I thought it's just too good to leave out, but so are the others, and it was really difficult because I have all of the Ecoline brush colours. As you will see in the thumbnail at the head of this video, there are a few, the brush pen colours, there are a few of them, and naturally I've bought all of them. As I said in one of my Instagram posts, if you want to get rich and stay that way, start an art shop and tell me where it is. That's all you have to do, and you'll be rich your whole life. So, what is a brush pen and from Ecoline? Talon's Ecoline is one of the companies that we've probably heard of. You know, they've got a few different products, and the one I want to talk about today is their watercolour brush pen. It is a refillable, so you can unscrew and refill, and what you refill with is one of these little bottles of watercolor ink goes in there, which means you can modify colors. So if a green is too bright, you can modify it. If it's empty, you can refill it, meaning that there's less plastic waste, and I really applaud that. Less waste. We can use this until the wheels fall off it completely. So that would be down to the nib, and even then you can keep using things, even when, I mean, the nib is a felt sort of tip thing, which acts slightly like a brush. And even when that gets really scrubby and horrid, you can still use it for special effects and textures. So literally, you can drive this until the wheels fall off. This one is my honourable mention. It is warm grey, 718. And I use this for all sorts of shadows in my work and bits and pieces like that. Absolutely love it. Wouldn't be without it. By 10. Now, so let's pop the honourable mention aside and get that out of the way. My favourites out of the range are by and large some of the pastel shades, and the reason for this is because I like to build layers with my mixed media, and it's fairly important when you're using things like coloured pencil over the top that you start out with a light layer where possible. This is not always true, so don't take that to the bank and, you know, don't write in. This is not always the case, but by and large, it is the case that it's quite a lot easier to start with a lighter layer. So for my favourite 5, that's a good name, let's call it that, my favourite 5, I have chosen a sepia light, I have chosen a spring green, I have chosen a pastel red, a pastel blue, and a regular sepia. I like these because I can layer over the top of them, and I mean, today I'd like to sketch a seascape for you, and these are particularly good for that. So I think first the thing we need to do is we need to swatch them out. So in no particular order, 439 sepia light. As you can see, it's a lovely sandy colour. Love that. Spring green 665. I think I've played with that. That's not the real spring green. Just let me see here if I can find. Here's another spring green, and I shall get into that in a second. Here is the actual spring green, and there's what I've done with it. What I've done there is I've taken one of these little pipette bottles of refill and added a couple of drops of a yellow ochre or an orange to that to just dull it down a little bit. It's not hard to do, very easy. In fact, it's as simple as opening the pen and putting that in, and I will show you that at the end. I'm going to use light orange to dull that down. So I'll just leave that there, and at the end I will show you what I did. Because I looked at that and I thought, no, that's not the right colour. This is spring green. So doesn't matter, I have both. That's why I bought two, because I bought the one and I thought, that's a little bit bright for me because I quite like muted colours. Then I thought, well, I also want the spring green in case that's the colour I wanted in the first place. You can't win with me, honestly. Pastel red is 381. That's the pure colour. Trust me, all the rest of these are the pure colour. Pastel blue. And sepia, 416. That's another brown, a little bit darker brown. They're lovely and juicy. They're really, really nice, and you can do so much with them. And this one is the warm grey honourable mention. So I don't know about my favourite 5 because I've already feel as though I've strayed outside that boundary because I have because 2 greens. But anyway, favourite 5: sepia, spring green, pastel red, pastel blue, sepia, and warm grey. Light sepia up front there, warm grey. Love those. You can do so much with them. And what I'm proposing to show you today is what I will do with these in conjunction with some coloured pencils. So let's start out with a sketch. I always start with a sketch. Some people don't, and you really don't have to. I'm fine, you know, art is very much a case of you do you. So I like to start with a sketch, and what I sketch in, sorry about all the racket, just leave them. I don't know, this desk is completely flat, but everything rolls to the left, and it's very annoying. I know it's completely flat. I've checked. This is a beige brown Supra Colour 2 soft watercolour pencil by Caran d'Ache, and I use these to put in a bit of a sketch, just sort of where I might like to go with some cliffs and things like that. The reason I use watercolour marker and not pencil is because I'm using a water-based medium to go on to the next step. And that means that the lines that I've done here will be obliterated and I don't end up with pencil graphite lines through everything. So the first thing, just turn that on the side a bit, is, as you can see, that blends then. It doesn't blend perfectly, but it blends enough, and I'm going over the top with coloured pencil. Just put some water in. Now, the other great thing about these is that they are actually watercolour. This one wants refilling, I think, which means that you can come in and blend them out with water. I don't do that very often. Just let me grab some very, very grubby water there. Would have been nice had I changed that. I'm not using any particular brush. This one is just a round number 3, but you can blend them out, blend them together, and do all sorts of things with them should you want to. So here on the water, for example, I could blend that a little bit. I don't like to, I don't want to, I don't find it works particularly well. So I rarely ever, if ever, rarely do it. What I do is use them to blend together as I'm drawing. So for example, here we got some cliffs, a little bit there, a little bit of brown cliff here. Again, obliterating each bit as we go, and green up the top. This is my made up green. That's a little bit more muted. But the other one would work beautifully as well. They do have lovely clean colours, and that's what I quite like about them. So a little bit of the regular sepia here. Blend them with your finger a bit. I do a lot of that. On the waterline. Really, really good for plein air sketching. And finally, with this light red, fill this in and make sure that I go over onto the light sepia and also the green, whatever colour this is that it now has been made. I'll show you in a sec. You can glaze over the top of other things with them and generally bring them all together. See, there's a little bit of shadow there. I'll do that in red. That works well. Just like that. I'm working in my Stillman and Byrne sketchbook, which is quite small. Now what I'm going to do, yeah, I'm not in love with this sketchbook. It's beautiful paper, but I misread the size completely. I don't know what was wrong with me, but yeah, it's quite small for what I normally do. Just drying this off because I want to go over the top with coloured pencil. And coloured pencil doesn't like going over the top of wet underlayers. So, good. I'm starting off with a Caran d'Ache Luminance in Steel Grey, just to give a little bit of interest to the sea. Again, very, very quick stuff. This is really, really good for working outside. This one is Dark Indigo, also Caran d'Ache Luminance. If you can hear little murmurings in the background, it's my Cocker Spaniel. She's desperately would like me to do something. I don't know what, just anything other than what I've chosen to do is the usual rule. I'm going to grab another pencil. This one is Light Malachite Green, just to do round here in the shallows. Thankfully, we haven't got to the favourite 5 coloured pencils yet, otherwise I'd already be in trouble. I'm going to break those down brand by brand when I get to that bit. A little bit on the horizon there. This gives the sea some nice movement. And if you wanted to do some clouds, you could hold the pencil on the side. This is the Steel Grey again. And just put a little bit of colour in the sky. But as you can see, what's happened here is we're able to add texture now to these underlayers, which work particularly well, actually. And this is my favourite in the world, Green Ochre, and it needs a sharpen, but it's not going to get one today. Green Ochre is the best colour pencil. You can expect to see that on the favourites. Be nice if I actually sharpened it occasionally. My second favourite is a dark Phthalocyanine green. It's a really nice muted colour. We can add some height and interest there on the top. And again, shading over that. Keep the red in the bottom there. And in the bottom, I mean underneath this layer. Sorry, lack the skills this morning to do 2 things at once. And then what I'm going to do is I'm coming in with my Derwent drawing pencil, which is in yellow ochre, and going over the top, because as you can see, that's burnishing the coloured pencil underneath. Don't do this everywhere, just to smooth out and vary the texture just slightly. Then onto the cliffs themselves, I've got a brown ochre. This sketch doesn't exist anywhere. It's probably Cornwall. This one's Castle Earth, which is a dark brown. Oh, good grief. She's climbed up to the top of her chair. She'll do anything at this point to try and get my attention. This brown, Castle Brown, is a lot drier than the rest of the Caran d'Ache. You may have found that yourself, actually. But it's still a really nice dark brown. Okay, and just allowing that to stay a little bit lighter. And as you can see, the Ecoline pencil underneath, sorry, I think I went out of frame there. I'm sorry if I did. Just pay attention to both. It's a real juggling act, this. Some other textures in there. Yeah, so I really love the way you've got this glowy underpainting, and then you can put the textures on over the top. And here again, with a white pencil, I can burnish some of the sea colours, make them blend a little bit more, but not all, just so that you can keep some of that nice texture. Maybe a little bit of light here on the front of the cliff to lighten that up. I could use white. I'm using my Derwent Drawing Chinese White, which is a beloved one. I think the yellow ochre, yes, works better, much nicer. Not entirely sure why I chose the other one. Probably because I was holding it in my hand. That's enough to get the job done. And then a bit of a glow on these top trees, which also burnishes them just slightly. And it's done. So again, if you're outside working, that can be a really, really quick way to sketch, because and why I love these, which is what this is really all about, is it layers, it gets rid of the white of the page for starters, if that spooks you a bit, and it gives you somewhere to go with your subsequent layers. So you could start this out with coloured pencil, but having that coloured underlayer there gives you a hint of which colour pencil to use. And so you can then come back over the top of the colour pencil and darken up. This one wants refilling quite badly. You can fill in some of the white, normally quite juicy. This one, actually, it's not too bad. It's come to life now. Just to give the sea a little bit more of what it needs, depth and things like that, slightly smooth everything out. Here too, on the green over the top, if you think, right, well that needs a little bit more there, because this will just add to it. And this is the thing with any sort of art and drawing and things like that. Quite often you'll think, oh, well, I've finished that. Well, no, you can come back in and you can still look at it and say, right, it needs a little darker green there, or this red here, that's not quite enough. The pastel red, just glow it up a bit. And when I say that, I mean I'm actually glazing over the top with these, which means I can really bring the colours out and big them up a little bit more. So totally recommend you to get these, plus the honourable mention, which I've tried not to use. I'm not going to use my honourable mention this week. However, I think next week I might choose to use that, because I can show you then what I use it for, because I particularly hate painting people. This actually helps me. So that's next week. In the meantime, I did promise that I would show you here. This is not an instant process, but it does show you what to do. If you want to mute some of the colours down, which this one was just too bright for me at the time, it still is. I still prefer my version of it. All you do is you uncork both, get yourself a drop or two, and just drop into the neck there. 2, 3. I'm putting 2 drops of light orange into spring green. And that gives me a more muted green colour, which I prefer. Now, it seems to be filled with something like foam plus the actual ink that's in there. Don't expect this to happen immediately. It will, I shake it a little bit, but I'm not convinced that does anything at all. What does do the job is to then lay it flat. Always store these flat. I always store them flat anyway, because I know pen pots are cute and I've got them all over my art room, but store these flat. And then, yeah, it's a little bit coming through. I'll wreck the paper first. I don't know about this Stillman and Burn paper. I'm still not sure. I kind of like it, but not sure. As you can see, it's scrubbed it a bit there. When you lay this flat for about a day, so it's not a long process, but it's not instant, it will blend together and you'll get a new bespoke colour green. And I would advise you to write your recipes down, if that makes sense. So if you've added 3 drops of red, write down with the spring green, make notes as to what you've done, because I always think I'm going to remember and I never do. So if you're anything like me, you won't remember, and it's a pity, because if you hit the perfect green for you, it'll be lost. And yes, so I would always write down what I've actually done so that I can come back to it. But this gives me a more muted green than the original one here, as you can see, which I particularly like. It's perfect for my style of work. So the main thing is have an experiment, and yeah, but they're great. Do buy some if you're in the art store and you think, well, you know, what would I want this for? If you're only going to get one, get the warm grey. Seriously, get the warm grey, because it is a really nice way to add subtle shadows to anything you draw and paint. I think this has gone a little bit too far here. Yeah, it's not going to be very noticeable. The dark brown is better, but this is perfect for other things. Okay, if you've enjoyed this, do tune in again next week. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you'd like to see. If there's a particular art material you would like me to have a look at, let me know, and I've probably got it in my stash, I'm embarrassed to say, but if not, I shall endeavour to find it and do a video on it. If you like my artwork, check out my other videos, and if you like what you see, do consider joining my Patreon, where I do weekly art lessons and real-time videos, lots of explanations, that sort of thing, where you can either learn art from scratch or big up what you've got already. So if you want to improve your art skills and level them up a bit, that's a great place to do it. So the link is in the description box below. I would absolutely love to see you there. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching, and I will leave you to get on with your day. Talk soon.